Hey everyone. So, welcome to week 5. I wanted to get this out there so that you have it to get started on at the beginning of the week instead of the end of the week. I know I always send out my videos on Sundays, but I wanted to make sure that you had access to this so you can get started sooner than later. So, if your schedule allows, at least take a look at it as soon as you possibly can so that you don't have to be searching for an article on the last day that it's due. So you have 2 assignments for this week, and the one assignment is a discussion post that will talk about your topic. So it's called Who Cares? And it's you stating in 100 words, approximately 100 words, what your topic is for your research paper and why you chose it. So I'm assuming, I would hope that everyone is choosing something that, has relevance to them, something that's, you're passionate about. It shouldn't be difficult for you to write, a short 100 words on this topic. If it is, you should probably pick something else. So you don't have to include an article or anything like that for the discussion post. If you want to, you can. Just make sure you include works cited entry in MLA format if you decide to do that, but it is not required for you to have an article for the discussion post. And make sure also that you're still responding to 2 classmates. So you don't have to go through and read everybody's posts, but just pick a few that resonate with you and respond to, what they are talking about. Or ones even that, you are, could be oppositional about, because that might help the people who are writing, talk from the position of the naysayer. So I would almost encourage you to do that. Maybe do one that's something you agree with and one that's something that you don't necessarily agree with, just to give people a frame of reference or a little bit of help. So article summary 1 is due. So there's going to be 4 of these assignments. And if you do them right, you're essentially building your research to make it easier for you to write your research paper. So this is where I wish I was using Zoom so I could share my screen with you. But I'm going to go over the different components of it because I don't think I can't do that with PhotoBooth. That's what I'm using to create this video. So I'm going to open up the article summary, and I actually have, there's 2 different, you're going to see 4 documents in the article summary, underneath the article summary where you, assignment, where you would submit it, where you would click to submit. Underneath, you're going to see 4 different things. And 2 of those are just blank versions of the article summary. So one is a Word doc, one is in PDF, and you can use either of those. And tips for those of you that might use Google Doc, you should be able to open it in Google Doc if you save it to your computer and then open it up in there, or drag it into that program. You should be able to open that in there. Also, if you do something in Google Doc but you want to submit it and you're having difficulty doing that, you can save it as Microsoft Word. So if you go to Save As in Google Docs, you can save it as Microsoft even though you didn't write it in Microsoft. So you don't have to actually have Word in order to save it like that. You can also, if the PDF works better for you, if you're able to open the PDF, you can, I know sometimes it's tricky editing a PDF, you can print the PDF and you can handwrite it and you can scan it and send it back in. So, lots of different options, or some people choose to type each section and put that into like a document of their own, whatever kind of document. As long as you have all the parts, I don't care. You can submit it however you want. But there's just, I have 2 blank documents there for you to use. The other documents that are in there are examples of how to do it. So these are people actually from other classes that I had that did it and did it right. So I downloaded those, took their names out of it, and I'm giving those to you as examples so you have something to work from, because it's kind of hard to do this for the first time if you've never done it. So the examples are really good and they have everything in there. The first part of the article summary is the citation. So that is where you're going to include the citation in MLA format. So I encourage you, go back to your Purdue OWL, go back to your little Seagull handbook, look at how to do a reference entry for an article or a works cited entry for an article in those 2 places. Yeah. So it'll have right at the top there in bold print under the directions, it says citation, there's a colon, put your reference there. Or if you prefer, some people put it at the end, that's fine, but you need to have the entire entry. And the reason I ask for that is because that way when you're ready to do your research paper, and if you actually use these articles the way it's designed to be used, you can copy and paste that into your works cited page and boom, you already have it done and you don't have to make it. So I believe in working smarter, not harder. This is my gift to you in terms of smarter, not harder. So get that reference written so that way later on you're not messing with it when you're trying to write your final research paper. Okay, so the first part is just the bibliographic information. It asks for the author, it asks for the title, it asks for where you got it from, and the date of the publication. And if you're unsure of any of that information, you could write that in there. It kind of depends on where you get this article from. The next part is a summary. So it says, briefly state the main idea or thesis presented in this article. That should be like a sentence. That's it. One sentence for that part. Summarize the most important information, ideas, facts, etc. You can write this in a variety of ways. So you could write this as specific quotes that you plan to use maybe in your research paper. I encourage you to do that. You can summarize, I wouldn't necessarily summarize the entire article because, the point of this is for you to find little snippets of information that you plan on using, and you're not going to use a summary of an entire article in your research paper. You're just not. So I would take out whatever you think is the most important stuff and include that here, either in the form of a quotation directly from the text, or in the form of a paraphrase from the text. So that way you have it. And I would even say, include the page number. If it's an article with page numbers, include the page number. So that way you have as much information as you can up front, so you're not going back and trying to find all that kind of stuff later. Okay, the next part is your personal reaction to it. So what was most surprising, interesting? Why did you pick this article? Why, what did you decide? How is this going to help your research? How is this going to help your argument? The next question is, what questions do you have after reading this article? What would you like to learn more about? So what did you feel like was missing, or, what pieces would you like to know more about? And then the very last part of this is, what other keywords, topics, or further research did you find reading this article? So are there other things that came up that you hadn't necessarily thought about with this topic that you might want to, investigate? So those are the components of it. There's really three parts. There's the bibliographic information, the summary information, and then your reaction to it. And this first one, I'm not going to lie to you, it might be tricky because you're kind of getting used to this process and like looking to pull things out of the article that you might not have looked for before, and that's okay. The other part of this, so when why the reason it's called an article summary, ideally, instead of Googling for things, you should be using the library databases. So that is why also this week, and it's not due this week, but you can sign up for the webinars for online classes. So it's like a library resource instruction webinar that teaches you how to use the library databases. I think in the future they might have pre-recorded webinars that you're able to watch, but I don't know about that yet. In the past, they have not done that, so I didn't have a recording to send out to anyone. But they have released the dates for them and the times for them. So I know, it's difficult to have something like this where you have to attend live because everyone has different schedules and things. So hopefully you guys will be able to find something that fits your schedule. So the one thing to keep in mind about the library webinar, I think I'm going to look at the date that I put on here. Okay, to complete by October 28th. So the reason that I'm asking for that due date is because over the next several weeks, you're going to be doing your article summaries. I would say to do that even sooner than October 28th. The soonest you can do it, the better. But if you do it by October 28th, you still have 2 summaries left before the research paper is due. So you still have 2 summaries left, and you have a little bit of time, in order to get it taken care of. And let me see here too. I wanted to give you the date too. Okay, the rough draft of the research paper is due October 21st. So I encourage you to try to get that webinar in by October 21st, because it's really going to help you in the long run to be able to know how to use the databases and how to search, because it's different than Google searching. And they can give you ways to kind of like select what search engines you're going to use, what types of articles you want to search for, what journals are good to search for. All of that's included in those webinars. So, it's really important to attend for that reason. If you are going to just try to find something that's on the internet, I would be very careful of doing that. But something that you can use is Google Scholar, and I think I mentioned this to you guys before. The only thing is, a lot of times with Google Scholar, because you're not using a library database that you pay for like Rowan, it might ask you to pay for the article. So it's difficult to find free articles using Google Scholar. A lot of times they're going to be things that you would have to pay for. So doing that library webinar is really important to this whole entire process, especially if you've never done research like this before. So I will also try to keep actively looking to see if they're going to release a recorded webinar for everybody. But there's dates in here that start this week, Wednesday, September 26th at 10 a.m. And then there's, I think it looks like maybe 1 or 2 a week for the next several weeks. So there's Thursday, October 4th at noon, Tuesday, October 9th at 7:30 p.m., Monday, October 15th at 7:30 p.m., Thursday, October 25th at 10:30 a.m. So there's a lot of different options, but what you do have to keep in mind too, you have to register at least 48 hours in advance. So don't wait to the last minute to do this, because if you do, I've gotten lots of emails about people not getting the link that they needed to get into the webinar. So make sure that you do it enough in advance. It says you have to schedule at least 24 hours, but it says please register at least 48 hours. And I think you're not going to be able to get the link in time if you don't register at least 2 days in advance. I'll be right there, buddy. Okay, so I actually have to go, but I did get everything in that I needed to tell you guys about. So have a good week, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.